Good morning. Previously, we have been talking about the individual differences as a topic in the subject education psychology. And we knew that the individuals are different, and these differences may be due to either hereditary, that is genetical, or may be due to environmental reasons. And we said that these individual differences can be seen by different attributes like the intelligence, aptitude, interest, the values one shows, and also they are manifested in the type of the academic achievements the children do. And individual differences are the main reason that we are different from each other, and the determinants are, as I said earlier, either due to heredity or variation. And the person, if he's, although there is a scope for individual differences, it is also a reason why some individuals are more respected or they are more regarded than the others. So individual differences are as essential in the species of humans as in any others. These differences are the reason why we are different from each other, and they are also the reason why the evolution is occurring. But with regard to the concept of individual differences, there is another possibility that these individual differences are the reason why we see differences in some other people, and we see children with some certain special needs arising. Although the individual differences are common, we know that the differences in the childhood may result in the scope of individuals developing different characteristics and different capabilities. And the reasons for these may also result due to, they will give rise to different individuals with different potentialities. What I would like to say here is, when the children, generally, if they are below the average intelligence or aptitude or in the academic achievement, we call them as children who may be with special needs. Some children may be excelling above the average, they are known as the gifted children, but some children may be only having the basic bare minimum sort of abilities, and therefore they are known as the children with special needs. Now, these individual differences which are there existing right from the childhood with regard to either reading, writing, or speaking abilities will give, if they are actually slightly slower than the normal average children, then such children are known as children with special needs. Now, these children with special needs may have difficulties in learning. Now, the disabilities may be sometimes be not in, maybe in intelligence, but only in some specific areas. Like they may be backward in, say, certain aspects like emotional or the social abilities or language abilities, etc. So general intelligence they may be having, but they may lack in some specific areas. Now, these children needs, if such children are there in the normal classroom, the needs of such children may not be met in an average classroom, because the teacher may be only, maybe he or she may be focusing only on the average children, and these children with special needs may not be taken care of. So we think that the children with special needs must be given a separate environment or separate schools where their needs will be met. Now, who are the children with special needs? First, we have to actually characterize the children with special needs, because a parent or a children may have a problem to identify the children with special needs. So what are the characteristics that we can actually identify the children with the special needs? We know that they are markedly different from the normal average children, and they may be having certain disabilities which may be either social or intellectual or emotional or physical. That is, if they are socially not adept, or if they're having special needs, they do not have social skills to get along with other children. And if they are intellectually deprived, they do not show the normal intelligence that is shown by a normal child. If they are emotionally deprived, or if they are they are children with special needs with emotional depravity or with emotional lacking, that means they are not able to control their anger or fear or such feelings, because they may show emotional tantrums. They may cry out loud, or they may go on asking for a particular thing, or they may show exaggerated behavior when their requests or when their wishes are not complied with. And when somebody does not agree with their wishes, may find exaggerated sort of emotional behavior from such children. Also, sometimes we see certain children having certain physical disabilities, and therefore they're not able to cope up. So these children with either emotional, physical, social, or intellectual diversity, and which actually brings a sort of lack in them, and by which they are not able to communicate or get along with the world, such children are known as children with special disabilities. Other characteristics are these children require a special environment. They require much more time. They also require much more care. And the schools generally there are separate schools for such children with special needs who may be either physically disabled or maybe having emotional problems or mental problems. And therefore, such type of schools are also very expensive. We also know that the normal type of schooling does not help these children, because their needs will not be met in the normal type of school, so they require a special environment. According to the American Association of Mental Deficiency, they have actually classified the children with special needs. And accordingly, we talk about the physically handicapped children, the mentally deficient children, and children with other deficiencies like socially disadvantaged or delinquents who are actually, they may have the propensity for crime, or they may run away from home. And also sometimes we have emotionally disturbed children and learning disabled children. Regarding the physically handicapped children, the first classification of the American Association of Mental Deficiency, the physically handicapped persons may either have problems in movement, also known as the locomotor disabilities, or they may be having multiple sort of handicaps. A number of problems may be there associated, which may be either orthopedical or hearing impaired, or combined with speech impairment, etc. Sometimes there may be multiple, sometimes there are only locomotor disabilities. Also, there are disabilities with the senses, the sensory disabilities, like impairment of vision, where a person cannot see, or hearing impaired are those children who are not able to hear properly. And also there are people with speech impairment, also known as dumb people. They're not able to speak out. And therefore, besides this physically handicapped, we also have mental intelligence deficiency, classified to above average intelligence, who has high intelligence, may not be also socially adept, or he may also show certain disabilities in other areas. So gifted children are also a sort of, it is not a deficiency as such, but the gifted people also face certain. So therefore, we have the intellectually superior people, that is either gifted geniuses or creative people who live in their world of their own, or they may be mentally challenged persons at the other end of the spectrum. That is, across the spectrum, we may find above the average and also below the average. And below the average students are those with mild, moderate, or severe and disabilities. And at the end of the spectrum are the children with profound disabilities, where they require complete sort of care from the parents or caregivers. Now, the education which is given to the special children is known as special education. Most of these people are either physically or mentally retarded children whose requirements are not met by the regular classroom, and therefore they require a special environment for their care as well as education, and for making them learn certain skills. So, according to Tansley and Guilford, due to the lack of ability or other circumstances, children need special education, and training has to be made available in the normal academic schools, also known as special education. So special education is when there is a scope for in the normal schools, as these children's special needs must be provided special provision. In case such a thing is not happening, then the children should be sent to the special schools. Now, these special schools, how are they different from the normal schools? Here, more time is given, more individual care is given, and the curriculum is also very much flexible so as to suit to the special needs of the children. For example, in a famous Japanese story, the child is given such an opportunity so as to involve the handicapped children. The person who runs slow is given a prize. Likewise, in these special schools, such a atmosphere is created where the individuals are asked to manage or asked to show or asked to perform a work, so that the ability to perform is given importance rather than competence or competition among the children. So here the curriculum is flexible, and also the timetable and examinations are designed specially so that better learning is there, and the ability to actually do a work is given more importance. So here the education is not teacher centered or curriculum centered. It is more of a pupil centric curriculum, and also every child here is treated with respect and consideration and with what we call personal touch. Importance is also given to meaningful learning activities. That is, the needs of the children are such a way made into the instruction procedures. They are involved, they are integrated into the instructional procedures in the classroom. So understanding the need of the child and adopting the curriculum in such a way that the need of the student is fulfilled and the child gets certain competence is one of the features of these special schools. Also, these children education is given in a natural setting where they can feel comfortable with, and there are no restrictions imposed, and any artificial restrictions or trying to bind within a four walls of the classroom is not there. And the children are given freedom, and priority is given to children's ability to manage by themselves. And whenever they do something, enough encouragement is given so that the child is involved in his learning, and although very slowly, the child is able to grasp the things here. So the parents of the children are also considered as primary teachers. Their involvement is also very welcome. You have visited any special school, you find the parents are also getting involved along with the teachers, and also they are also assigned certain activities, and the child is made to work in coordination with the parents as well as the school teachers. So here in special schools, the teachers, the administrators, the parents, the physiotherapists, because while in speaking or in speech therapy or in hearing, we require certain therapists who by using, they can ask the children to pronounce certain words in such a way or use their body for sensory motor problems. They can ask the students to do they make them do certain exercises. So with the help of these certain exercises, the children are able to do better. So we also take the help of the physiotherapists in special schools. Now regarding, first we'll be dealing one by one. First we'll deal with the concept and the aspect of the mental retardation. Now, what is mental retardation? It is an intellectual disability exhibited by the individuals who have low IQ. And these people who are having low IQ have difficulty in understanding the day-to-day real life. They are also not able to cope up with certain activities which they should do by themselves. So mental retardation can be defined as a psychological condition that affects the thoughts, behavior, and emotions of an individual. Now, this is not a disease, but it is a condition in which the intellectual disabilities are seen, and the intellectual faculties are not fully, the potential is not fully manifested, and they are not actually able to do proficiently those activities which a normal child will be able to do. So because of this lack of this thing, the students are unable to acquire knowledge as a person of his own age does. If a person of his own age with normal average intelligence is able to do certain activities, the children with special need is not able to do such activities. And also when placed in certain same circumstances, the student is not able to deliver certain things. That is, he has problems with either memory or doing certain understanding or understanding a concept or trying to do certain things creatively. So he lacks in certain knowledge and abilities which a child of the same age is able to do. Now, mental retardation is also divided. It is of several categories, but then here we know that the general intellectual functioning is hampered. It is not so, there is some problem with the intellectual functioning. And according to the mental deficiency, American Association of Mental Deficiency, we find that these people have lower IQs below 70. If you remember, what is IQ? It is the intelligence quotient given by the formula mental age by chronological age, that is biological age, into 100. Now, how is the mental age calculated? By assigning them certain tasks. We know that the normal average intelligence is between 90 to 110 or 120. And the persons who are having less than 70 are called as intellectually deficient persons. So we say that we find that if a child has certain problems in skill areas like communication or self-care or self-direction, or is not able to take care of himself and has issues while taking care of his health or his own safety, then such a person is called as intellectually disabled. So the parents or the caregiver should take enough care so as to help him come across or overcome such problems. That is, now the child should be able to take care of himself, his own health, and his also give certain direction, learn certain social skills, or be able to talk to other persons, etc. According to the American Association of Mental Retardation 2002 definition, mental retardation is the disability characterized by limitations in both intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior. And now this is expressed as conceptual, social, and practical adaptive skills are lacking in certain these people, and the disability is seen before the age of 18. It is not something which is occurring later as a consequence of some other problem, but before 18, if a child has any of these problems, that is during developmental stages, then such person is known as a mentally retarded child. Now, what are the characteristics of mental retarded child? We require the characteristics to be known to us, because otherwise we will not be able to distinguish a normal child from the mental retarded child. Now, the mentally disabled child, as the term is used now, these children will show certain characteristics. For example, they are having low concentration and low memory. Sometimes we see that they have in the normal classroom, when a normal child is able to understand, the child has low grasping power to understanding, very much low, and also not able to do normal intellectual activities in the classroom. So they exhibit low intellectual ability. Also, the students have lesser learning ability and also lesser retention power. That is, they cannot retain those things for long. That is, the memory is also, they have problems with memory. Sometimes when we see a small child, we find during their developmental stages, they are late in certain activities. For example, they're not quick to stand, they're not quick in walking or sitting or crawling, such activities which we see during the normal stages of a childhood. Also, we find that they have trouble talking. Sometimes they talk very late, after 1.5, 2 years or 3 years, they start talking slowly. After normally the child is able to talk or blab at the age of 6 to 8 months, and then he's able to pronounce words by the 1.5 year. But here we see that the child is having such problems and is not able to cope, not able to communicate with others, even at the age of 2.5, 3 years. They have trouble talking. And also they are very slow in adapting or doing certain things. For example, toilet training or potty training is more difficult with these children, and they do not dress by themselves or feed themselves. They are dependent more on the others, and also they are not quickly adaptive. They do not learn personal care at the early stages, and also they have difficulty in remembering things and difficulty with problem solving or logical thinking, and also they are not able to connect their actions with the consequences, and they also exhibit certain behavioral problems and emotional tantrums, and explosively they will be crying or wailing for small things. So these are indicative of when they deviate from the normal child behavior, then such behavior can be considered as that those children may be the children with special needs. Now, what may be the causes for the such differences from children, or why there are children who are having disabilities with mental disabilities? And reasons may be many, but some of the reasons may be biological. For example, if the mother consumes alcohol or tobacco, or is exposed to certain diseases like rubella. Now these conditions of diseases, or what we call having usage of drugs or tobacco or alcohol, can impair the child's development, and therefore such disabilities can be seen. That is, disabilities with regard to the mental retardation. The mental retardation may be due to the underdevelopment or not full development of the central nervous system. Also, maternal exposure to environmental chemicals and also several health problems also may be associated with the mother's pregnancy when she's exposed to certain what we call viral diseases. Also, this may result in what we call prenatal problems, which may again induce the child with certain mental disabilities. Sometimes mother may not take care postnatally, initially after birth of the child, and this may also cause problems with the children. The mental retardation may also be due to the hereditary reasons. One of them may be the Down syndrome. Down syndrome condition seen in nearly 1 million cases in India per year, and this is because they have an extra chromosome, that is the 21st chromosome we see in extra. So when we have a chromosome extra, it is known as trisomy. When we have a chromosome less in number, it is known as monosomy. So if there is normal human cells have about 23 pairs. 23 pairs means 46 chromosomes in every cell. But during the gamete formation, or during the production of sperm or ovum, it is possible that one chromosome may be less. That is, instead of 23, it may have 22. Sex cell may have 22. And this will result in what we call, instead of 23, we have 22, means it's a monosomy. One chromosome is less, and that may have problems because there will be underperformance of certain genes. Sometimes the chromosomes may be one excess. So instead of 23 pairs, that is 20, we may have, instead of 23 in the sex cells, the chromosomes, we may have 24. And that will be trisomy, an extra chromosome. So a chromosome less will result in monosomy. A chromosome extra in the sex cell may result in trisomy. And when they are fused with the other gamete, either female or male, it happens instead of normal 46 chromosome. In trisomic conditions, we have 47 chromosomes. And in monosomic conditions, we have 22 plus 23, which will result in 45 chromosomes. So, but the normal chromosome that should be there in a normal cell is 46, that is 23 pairs. So we have under chromosomal condition known as monosomy with 45 chromosomes in the zygote, or an extra chromosome, that is 47 chromosomes. So if we have the 21st chromosome a double copy, that is known as Down syndrome, which will result in a number of problems like the facial features, what we call the brow, the head is also somewhat down sunk, and also there are several intellectual disabilities associated with the Down syndrome. So many of these conditions, the Turner syndrome is a monosomy condition where we have chromosome less. In Down syndrome, there is an extra chromosome. In Turner syndrome, there is a chromosome less. Now, these will result in the manifestation of the intellectual disabilities, where we see that the child is either emotionally or socially, he reacts in one way, or there may be certain undergrowth or underdevelopment resulting in certain other conditions. Also, the maternal infections and the mother's exposure due to various drugs in the pregnancy may also result to in what we call the intellectual disability of the child. Now, when we consider what is the classification or how are the mentally retarded classified, we have got them classified according to the IQ level. When a person has, say, about 50 to 60 IQ, then it is known as, because the normal condition is somewhere between, as I said earlier, 90 to 110. But in the range of, say, 70, 80, their average, mild average, intelligent. But when it comes to actually 50 to 60 level IQ, then that means it is mild mental retardation C. Now, these people with mild mental retardation have difficulty in reading and writing. They are not, they take longer time to learn something, but they are able to communicate to a certain extent. They are independent in self-care when they become older, but they have possibility, they have problems with marriage or with child rearing or child parenting. Now, they may have some benefit out of the special education schools. That is, if they are socially groomed, they can come out of the condition, although sometimes they may show certain immaturity that they can, with special education, special laws, being special considerations we give them, maybe they will be able to fare well. And there are persons with 35 to 49 on the borderline, 35 to 49 IQ, and these people are known as moderate. These people are said to have moderate mental retardation. These people are having difficulty generally in understanding as well as in using language, in speaking. Also, they have difficulty with communication. They are also, they can learn and they can have basic reading, writing and counting skills. They can be made to learn, but when they are actually asked to go to a different place or an unfamiliar place, they have difficulty in adjusting. They are unable to live alone. So here, they are generally made to act, take part in the various social activities. In the cases of people with severe mental retardation, the IQ seen is generally in the range of 20 to 34. Here, the children have severe motor impairment. They're not able to move. They have locomotor problems. They also have problems with the central nervous system. So there's a problem with coordination of their body activities. They also require problems with, they require help with the self-care. They cannot take care of their own activities or their own bodily activities by themselves. And they also have problem when they try to communicate with the others. And there are also children with lesser IQ, say below the level of 20 IQ. And these people are said to have profound mental retardation condition. Now, they have difficulty in understanding any commands, and if you talk to them, they are unable to comply with your request. If you ask them to move about or get you something, they're not able to do it. And they have inability of taking their own needs independently. They require help and support from their parents. And they have problems with their verbal communication as well as non-verbal communication. They are also in need of constant supervision and help. They're not able to move or they're not able to get things on their own. And they're also sometimes may go immobile. They don't even move because of the problems with the motor system, and they cannot wear their own dresses or go for the toilets, or they have their own problems in bathing, eating food and communicating, and therefore they're not able to take care of themselves. Now, how can we, now these different types of IQ levels, as I was saying, mild is the condition from 50 to 60 IQ level, and moderate is the condition from 35 to 49, and severe condition is from 20 to 34, and below 20 IQ, we call them as profoundly mentally retarded who require much more care. Now, it is necessary we distinguish these children with different IQs separately and try to give a different type of care for these children. It is not that all the children should be treated as similar. There will be variations, and as each individual is unique, they require separate types of help, treatment, care, and also different types of training also. Now, how do we prevent or how do we take care of these mentally retarded children? We have a national mental health policy. Also, here we try to see what sort of attention can be given, what sort of care can be given so that mental morbidity can be controlled. Mental morbidity is a condition where they're not able to, severe mental conditions may lead to certain problems. So that has to be controlled and attention should be given so that they are able to mingle with others. And also we have a national policy of mental handicap formulated in 1988, which is a good document with regard to India, where they are trying to take care of the mentally handicapped people. Also, we have a separate institution in Secunderabad, which actually is known as the NIMH, originally National Institute of Mentally Handicapped, where it's a professional and provisional training is given to all the parents also, and the child is also given, taught, is given the different types of children with speech impairment or hearing impairment or mental retardation are given different activities, and the parents are also made as their co-groomers, and they are asked to also take care of their children and wards. And now that institute has been recently renamed as NIEPID, that is National Institute for the Empowerment of Persons with Only Intellectual Disability. They are more concentrated with intellectual disability rather than speech and other such handicaps. Now, the social benefit for the families is the persons who have intellectual disability, they have income tax exemptions, and also the parents are given exemptions if the child is intellectually disabled. They are given special concessions in the travel, like in rail tickets, and also they are also given sometimes a monthly pension in some areas. And we know that the job reservation is there for the handicapped, where their motor disabilities are there. The children are, the people are given, the individuals are given special provision in jobs. Special reservations are there in both the central government as well as the state government for such persons. Now, coming to the aspect of hearing impairment, how do we know a child is having problems with hearing? We know because here they are having problems because they are not able to follow the words. They ask to repeat again, and they also have problems in understanding you, and they're not able to respond. That is the first condition. If the child is not able to hear noises, then we say it is as hearing impairment. Now, these people with hearing impairment may also have problems with spellings, vocabulary, and also listening to any lectures, and they have problems taking notes to lectures. They cannot participate in classroom discussion because they're not able to hear. And also, while watching educational videos, also they're not able to hear properly. And when they are asked to report something, they are not able to hear you properly, and therefore they have problems in giving their own oral reports. Now, the definitions of the hearing impairment is the NSSO talks about as the disability of a person to hear properly. Now, hearing disabilities, there are hearing disabilities, persons with hearing disability, if they have a loss of 70 decibels or more. So here, the normal range of hearing is generally in the range of say 40 to 70, 60, and here there is more loss is seen, nearly 70 disabilities or more is seen. We call it as hearing loss. If the sound is measured in decibels, so the mild hearing loss is between 20 to 40 decibels, the moderate hearing loss between 41 to 60, and severe hearing loss from 61 to 80, and profound hearing loss from 81 to or more. So the normal range is from 0 to 20 decibels, and the mild hearing loss is from 20 to 40. Now, these hearing impediments, we say a person is deaf if he is in the loss of 60 decibels or more. Now, how do we know a person has a hearing disability? If you shout in front of his face, also is not able to hear. He has to come directly in front of you to hear something. He's not able to hear at an angle. And also he requests you to repeat the words or repeat something, and would like to see the face of the speaker when somebody speaks to him. These are indicative of the hearing losses. Now, the problems with hearing loss is the hearing loss may occur right from childhood. It may be congenital. And also sometimes the hearing loss may occur due to certain diseases. The characteristics of hearing impairment are they have problems with emotional issues because they are not able to hear properly. They do not know to express properly, and therefore When somebody complains on it, they have certain emotional issues. They also have problems in maintaining the social relations with their peers, that is, the people of the same age. They have difficulty in speaking out some things. They have also difficulty in their oral expressions. They have difficulty, somebody gives them certain directions, they're not able to follow them properly. They have difficulties in social interaction. They also have a degree of language understanding. There's a delay. And also, if they are very frustrated because they're not being able to communicate properly, and if we ask them to use the hearing aids, they feel embarrassed. Most of the time, the children who have hearing loss, or even elderly person, if they say you're not able to hear properly, and they are supposed to wear hearing aids, they feel embarrassed. They feel it socially embarrassed. Now, as I was saying earlier, the causes of hearing impairment may be due to either certain problems the mother faces during the prenatal period, or due to hereditary factors. It may be, as I said, right from the birth, that is congenital, or sometimes chromosomal abnormalities may also result in hearing loss. Also, there are certain diseases which affect the central nervous system, and the physical head injury can also lead to loss of hearing. With increasing age, of course, all individuals have this problem of hearing. They will lose hearing ability, and also excessive noises can damage the inner ear and the middle ear. There are also viral infections like measles, mumps, and Meniere's disease, where the inner ear is affected. And sometimes we know there is a balancing machinery in the ears. Therefore, if there is no balance, the sense of ears are not properly functioning, the balance of the individual also gets affected. Now, therefore, the hearing and balance are all very important. There are 4 types of hearing impairment seen generally. The 4 types of hearing loss are called as, one is conductive, where this is caused by any condition or disease. Now here, in this conductive disease, we know we have 3 parts of the ear: the outer, the middle, and the inner ear. The middle ear is the space, the tube, where it reaches the eardrum, and the eardrum goes and affects the certain bony structures known as the bony ossicles, which are there, and these bony ossicles will be connected to the inner ear nerve, so that the message is passed on to the brain. This is the general structure. You can read in detail about the ear structure. But here the middle ear's ability to take on the sound wave and convert it into mechanical energy, that aspect is there in the middle ear. But somehow, because of the reduction of the sound, or the ability of the sound gland cannot hear, and therefore the physical problems in the middle ear can cause loss of hearing loss, and this may be due to the blockages in the middle ear sometimes. So these blockages can be cleared after some time, and or the mechanical impediments can be overcome, and later one may be able to hear the words in a normal way. So the blockage in the external ear or the middle ear can be the cause of the conductive hearing loss. Sometimes there are the inner structure known as the cochlea, that it has very sensory heads which actually move according to the sound. And if these sensory heads are lost, the auditory nerve is no longer, which is connected to this cochlea, is no longer able to carry the message to the brain. So anything is made sense in the brain. And because the fine heads of the cochlea, the nerve endings of the cochlea, which connect the cochlea, the fine sensory heads of the cochlea are not functioning properly, so the nerve does not, auditory nerve is not able to convey the message to the brain. So the damaged head cells in the cochlea may be due to certain diseases or due to high frequency sounds. So one should not continuously be exposed to high sounds. That is why we talk about prevention of noise or controlling the noise pollution. This is because this may cause effects on the either the child, where the child's hearing organs are very sensitive, it may be damaged, or long time exposure to heavy sounds can also cause problems in the middle. Now, the sensory motor hearing loss is because of the problems in cochlea or to the damage of the sensory heads which are present in the cochlea. This will lead to the total deafness, which will result which may be either due to inner ear infection or trauma in the head, or right from the birth one may have this problem. So sensory motor, neural hearing loss is also seen. Sensory neural hearing loss is one, or due to conductive hearing loss due to certain mechanical conditions or blockages in ear is one. Sometimes you may have mixed hearing loss, which may be due to both the above features, that is sensory neural loss is seen as well as mechanical blockage is seen. Both these conditions may coexist, that is both the eardrum and the inside ossicles, that is cochlea and other sensory hair cells may also get damaged, and this may result in hearing loss. Sometimes we find that the brain may be affected, problems in the brain, and this may, as I was talking about the auditory nerve, there may be problems with the auditory nerve also, and the central brain which is not able to function properly. We have certain areas in the brain, the auditory nerve, that is the nerve which connects the ear to the brain, and as well as it goes directly to the brain and to a particular region in the brain, that may get affected. Therefore, the hearing loss, that is the ability to understand the words or interpret them, may also be lost. Now, this is very rare condition. Now, what are the different programs we can have for the hearing impaired? We know that we require here special education as well as special teachers. We know that the hearing aids may be used to a certain extent, which may overcome this problem to a certain extent. But hearing aids also should be customized in the sense it should be made individual, to tune to the individual needs, because the children may have different ears, they may have different sensitivities, and it should be adjusted according to the audible level of the children. The children, because they are not very good to know how they are being affected, they have to be taught, they have to be taken care, they should be told word wise, are you able to hear? And they have to be, the contraptions or what we use in the ear also should be suitable to the child's age, and it should be comfortable to the child. So it should be customized according to the need of the child. Also, sometimes the child may not be focusing enough, so his speaking skills may be lost because he's not able to hear. We know we learn sometimes mostly by imitation or by knowing or listening to others. Because it is lost, now he requires special training skills, speaking skills should be imparted to him. Sometimes we ask the children to lip read what we are saying, and ask him to again pronounce the same word. And by careful observation, the child is able to learn those words. So he will acquire the language abilities by lip reading. And sometimes we also talk about the hand signs for communication. We know that most of the hand signs we see, or the special news editions we see on the TV, are for the hearing impaired, and therefore the sign language could also be taught to them. That is another aspect, so that they are able to understand what's happening in the world. Also, speech training should be given right from the childhood. When we come to know that a young child does not have the ability to hear properly, or his hearing range is profound, that is, it is between 81 or more, the decibels are not able to, there is impairment. And here such children should be given appropriate training right from the nursery, and speech training should be given in the informal settings. Now, coming to the speech impairment, some students we know, some children have the hearing impairment, some have only speech impairment, but in a condition generally both these conditions may be mixed, that is hearing impairment may be occurring with speech impairment. But along with the deafness, dumbness may be there, but sometimes only dumbness or speech impairment may be seen. They have problems in speech, that is in the how they speak fluently, or there is no continuous flow, the rhythm is not there, there is interruption, such children have problems in speaking, etc. Now, according to the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, we call the speech impairment as a communication disorder such as stuttering or impaired articulation, where they're not able to speak out clearly, or a language impairment, that is not able to speak a language fluently, that may be even the mother tongue, and also a voice impairment, where the voice is not suitably modified, so that it may be either hoarse, or sometimes it may croak, it may go underway because of the oxygen intaking abilities. All these conditions are known as the speech impairment. According to ASHA, that is American Speech Language Hearing Association, a speech disorder is one in which there is an impairment of articulation of speech sounds. That is, they have problem in speaking out the sounds or a language. The speech sounds are not seen. They have problems with the fluency also. Such condition where the child has problem with fluency or even speaking out certain words is known as speech impairment. Now, speech impairments result in certain speech disorders. For example, we have impairments of the spoken word, that is, they are not able to write or speak, or language problems, that is, they have problems with grammar or making certain sounds. Sounds are known as, the study of sounds as phonology. Or they may have problems in understanding the meaning behind the words, that is the content of the language, known as the semantics of a language. What is semantics? Trying to understand the meaning of the words, or understanding how language functions, that is pragmatic. So the language impairments may be of either in grammar or the sound pronunciation, or in understanding the structure formation of the sentence, or making meaningful sentences, etc. Now, the speech impaired persons, they are not able to use appropriate words. They are not able to use words properly. Sometimes they have inability to express their ideas. They have their grammar is not properly structured. They have problems with words usage. They have reduced vocabulary. They're not able to learn words more. They have problem in following the directions given by somebody. They're not able to follow the meaning of the words. And also they have difficulty in producing speech sounds, and they have problems sometimes with voice quality, and sometimes they stutter. Now, this stuttering is also known as disfluency. Fluent, the opposite is disfluency. They have a problem, continuous speech is not seen, and therefore this is known as disfluence condition. And speech disorders may also be seen in how the words are formed, how the sounds are formed, how the sound pitch is formed, how the volume is given, and the voice quality is also different. For example, if some students have problems instead of seeing, they say, somebody says see instead of ski, they cannot pronounce the T. Now that we can say is a problem. Some children have problems in using the R sound as well as the L sound. So the listeners may have trouble in understanding these children who have speech impairment. Now, the speech impairment may occur due to several reasons. Most of them because of hearing loss, they are not able to speak also. Sometimes there may be neurological disorders, the disorders associated with the brain, and also if there's a problem with the brain, there is a brain injury, then have such problems. And even even birth, there may be problems, congenital or a prenatal condition. You may see this congenital problems occurring right from the child if the child is not able to speak. And now also the drug usage, drug abuse, and physical impairments also can be seen. These also can result in the speech disorders. Sometimes children have the left cleft lip or palate. Cleft lip in the sense the lips are somewhat attached to the tongue and they have disability. Now we have surgeries which actually can separate the lip from the what we call the lips and the tongue. But generally we see when there are disorders in the mouth structure where the lip is somewhat either rolled or it may get attached with the tongue may get attached with the lip. So these deformities seen right from birth also may give rise to speech impairments. Now, the speech disorders, what we see are either in articulation or speaking out, or there may be phonological disorders in making certain sounds. They may also have problems like stuttering, known as disfluency, and also sometimes we see disorders in the voice condition. The voice condition is the speech may sound very odd because either air is escaping while speaking, or sometimes little air is seen, little air is come out through the nose. We know that when we speak, you make use of the air. We take in air and breathe out, and the speech sounds are that in such a way we make that we either touch the lips are there, or we make certain nasal sounds, or we touch the lip, the palate, and there are certain sounds made. The alphabets are all of different sounds. The English alphabet or the alphabet or the Hindi alphabet, they have different sounds. Now these sounds occur because of the different movements of the lip and the lips and the tongue and the other organs in the mouth. But now here when we find too much air is escaping through nose, it is known as hypernasality, and little air is coming out Through the nose, it is hyponasality. How if too much air is coming out, it is hyper, and if little air is coming out, it is hypo. And this also can have result in certain problems while speaking, which will make it difficult for us to understand. So we know that there are different types of needs, special needs, which children with special needs do exist because of the individual differences. The children with special needs also show these differences, but these differences are not of the normal average type. These differences occur because they deviate from the average normal child's intelligence, and therefore we see that these children have special needs. These needs can be fulfilled by taking special care or having special schools. And we talked about the mental retardation, the speech impaired children, as well as the hearing impaired children, the different reasons underlying it, the characteristics of such disorders, and how these can be overcome, and how the speech disorders or the hearing disorders or the mental image disorders can be limited. And not all children with even these disorders have the same level of disorderliness. So therefore, a child must be taken proper care of. They should be properly diagnosed, and proper treatment should be given, as well as proper skills that could help them to reach, live to their utmost potential and live to the maximum happiness, and also live as functioning individuals is of utmost importance, and therefore care should be taken for this. Now, the next aspect I'll be dealing to a certain extent will be inclusive education. So, as Estrada says, if a child does not learn the way we teach, then we should learn the way to teach them, in which they will learn. That is, a child cannot learn the way we teach, then we should adapt new ways adapt such ways by which they will learn. Now, what is inclusive education? We know that many children lie above the ambit of general education. Not all children have the financial or the social abilities or the economical resources to actually go to a school and learn. So most of the children are marginalized. Marginalized means they do not come under the normal scope of the society where they are able to gain the normal education and skills as a normal child would do. So when we talk about equity in society, that means all children should be given education. We talked with about individual learners or learners with special needs, but at the same time, there are also individuals who may be having the skills but are still marginalized. Now, persons with disabilities like physical, social, emotional behavior, if they try to incorporate them in general education, you may not be doing them much of a service. So special schools should be there. See, inclusion is having all sort of children in the school, and all children should benefit, and they should have access to learning and obtain the benefits of learning, and equal access of education should be provided to all in the society, to all the different categories of children without excluding anyone. So special education is, of course, we have several special education reforms taking place, especially from the year 2000. There are special, what we call rights and concessions given to the special education. But along with the diversity of education, we should also give importance about the quality of education. Now, inclusion is not about only special education children, but generally giving good quality education to all the learners in the classroom, and also giving additional support to children who do not come under the regular school system, but students, if they are giving additional support to children who come from financially backward families, and also meeting the needs of children with disabilities also, that also aspect also comes under inclusive education. Inclusive education means not only taking care of needs of the special children, but also those marginalized and socially excluded children. For example, consider the girl child. Most of the girl children were not given proper education until recent few years back. And also now we see that the girl children are somewhat lesser than the male child. So here the girl child is given additional what we call preference. She's also made to come into the classroom. And this is known as inclusive education. That is, inclusive education tries to take in the children from various socioeconomic backgrounds, Here also the children with special needs, they are given more, of course, more care, and also children who are not having access to education either due to social reasons like girl child or economic reasons, that is, they are poor children. If they are there, we have several schemes like SSA, where all the children are asked to learn and all children are given education. That is known as inclusive education. So here, all children should be provided equal access. Doesn't mean one should be given more consideration at the expense of other child. But here, inclusive education, because we have found that many children lie above the ambit of education. For example, we had the World Conferences on Special Needs Education Access and Quality in Salamanca, which is in Spain, in 1994, and the principle of inclusive education is accepted. It was found at the time that the children with special needs are given a separate treatment, and it is true that although the needs of the special child are to be met in special schools, there may be some average children or children with moderate intellectual ability who can be what we call incorporated, or who can be integrated into the regular system also, and they can learn by their social peers. They are able to learn certain intellectual skills. So trying to marginalize somebody because of comparatively lower skills or lower education, or because they come from the different social economic backgrounds, doesn't fall under the scope of education. So general inclusive education means that all the children should be given education, and if necessary, sometimes if special children are there in the schools, certain needs may be specially tailored or special care may be given. Now, this Salamanca statement was signed by 92 countries, and we celebrate the 25th anniversary. Recently, we have celebrated, and we say that all children should learn together wherever possible, and the difficulties or differences what we see should be overcome by taking proper care, and the inclusive school should recognize and respond to diverse needs of the children. We'll go in detail about the inclusive education and about the different types of learning tomorrow. Thank you.